Do you have a relationship with a spouse or a partner, family member, a friend that creates stress and drama? You can't speak your mind without having it become a big problem or a drama party? Well, don't go anywhere because everyone knows somebody who does this. Hi, I'm Carol Bettino, psychotherapist and the author of Better Choices, Better Life, and Directions, Your Roadmap to Happiness. I received a letter that I think is really great because it really can go with any relationship, whether again it's a family member, a friend, or a partner, spouse, whatever it is. She said, I have a sister who lives in another state. In addition to a big age difference, we are diversely different in our outlook on life. As most sisters do, we have our arguments and disagreements. I'd like to know the best way to end arguments anytime I dare to disagree with her or I don't support what she believes, feels, or wants. If I do disagree, it ends up with a personal verbal attack at me that has nothing to do with me or the current issue. They're usually based on problems and people that she claims had issues in her past. She then demands an apology for my words spoken and provoked anger, without accepting any accountability for what she actually said. She really gets angry, especially if I defend someone from her past that has supposedly wounded her in some way. Signed, Margie from Texas. Well, again, great question, and what I would say to you that remember the most important thing is people's thoughts and feelings and behaviors are about them. They're not about you. You cannot control them, you cannot change them, and you're not responsible for them. You are responsible, however, for how you react and how you respond to the person. So what I want you to look at is you have every right to stand up for yourself and not be verbally attacked or bullied because you disagree. Now, I want to go over some of the things that you said, but knowing what you know about her and how she treats people, chances are you probably wouldn't pick her as a friend today. Now, I realize when it's a family member or somebody that you've been friends with since kindergarten or high school or whatever it may be, if it's been a long time, it's sometimes hard for you to let go of the relationship and move on. But what happens over time when you have this kind of a relationship, whether it's a family member or a friend, you tend to accept and tolerate the bad behavior, or you actually tolerate being treated badly. This is an extremely unhealthy, codependent relationship when that occurs. Now, with that being said, when she verbally attacks you, it's because she bullies you to control her narrative. And her narrative is, she's right, you're wrong. So when you don't agree with her, or you don't feel sorry for her when she is telling you these things, she sees herself as that victim, so she's going to act like a martyr. And when she does that, no matter what you say is not going to be right. So you cannot continue to act in a relationship by talking with her and trying to get her to understand. Because if she sees herself as right and you wrong, it's only going to cause problems. And that's probably why when it provokes your anger, you find yourself saying things that you probably shouldn't say. But in reality, let's face it, people push us so far, and that can cause more problems. So the second point I want to make is she has some unresolved issues just based on the little bit of information you gave me. Like if you defend someone from her past that has supposedly wounded her in some way, she'll get angry. And based on the problems and the people that she had issues with are all in the past. So it's okay to be understanding about people's problems and about their history, what they've gone through, or trauma, or tragedy. We do need to be compassionate people. However, what you need to keep in mind is if they choose not to get help and they choose not to change, they become the abuser. They become the one who disrespects. They become the one who can become very mean and hurtful, and that should never be acceptable. And that's when they will hurt others, bully others, and abuse others. It's like the abused child. We have tremendous compassion for a child growing up in a home where there's abuse or neglect, or they're witnessing one parent abusing the other parent. But what happens when that child grows up and becomes an adult and then abuses their partner or their children? Or they find a partner where they allow that partner to abuse them and abuse their children. So there has to be a point where we need to hold people accountable for their behavior. And it is just not okay for somebody to just get mad and just kind of jump all over your case because you're not agreeing with them and you're not saying what they want you to say, or you're not taking their side. Now, a couple of things that I do want to talk about in some of those things is that you need to look at the unresolved issue that she hasn't dealt with is not about you. So you need to recognize that, and you need to start setting boundaries and being more assertive. Again, it's fine to be understanding, but once she starts to bully you because, she's upset, she's angry, she doesn't think you're right, the problem with that, you are teaching her that it's okay for her to bully you. And so why does she really bully you? It's because she can, because she's getting away with it. Now, you asked how to end an argument. Now, in your letter, I'm not so sure that what I'm about to say is going to actually work on her, because she has that sense of, I'm right, you're wrong, and if you don't agree with me, I have a right to be mean to you and bully you. So, but I think it's important for everybody to hear this, because no matter what, everybody knows somebody who does this. So the way to end an argument in situations like that, when a person is not respectful of you or disagreeing with you, and no matter what you say, you can't be right. If you say something, it's going to blow up. A lot of times what happens is you just close down and not say anything. That's so unhealthy. It's so unhealthy for a relationship. So the first thing you could try to do is change the subject. These are attempts that we have, and we realize that they don't always work. But that's one of the things that could help, and that is just change the subject. Now, when a person is the way you're talking about, Margie, my guess is changing the subject is only going to bring it back to her. So stop the conversation. Tell her that you're not going to talk about this, and that you're not going to argue with her, and that you're not going to say things that you don't want to say. You want to end it now. Now, of course, she may then choose to still attack you anyway, to not stop, and now get angry at you because you won't hear her out. So you need to tell her that if she's going to do that, being she's out of another city, you're obviously on the phone or FaceTiming or Zoom, whatever. At that point, you can either say, I'm going to hang up now and we can talk later, but I'm not going to do this now. A lot of times people will say to me, when I say that, the other person is still screaming and yelling. It's like, it's okay. Don't raise your voice. Talk over her. She's not listening to you anyway, so don't worry. But at least she can't say you slammed the phone on her, and at least she can't say that you were being mean. So just say, I'm going to hang up now, and then hang up. If she calls back, it's probably best not to pick up. If you have voicemail, she may leave you one of those long messages. The best thing to do is just delete it. Don't engage. I have what I call the Vegas principle. And that is when you go to Vegas or anywhere where you're going to be gambling on one of those machines, you put a lot of money in and sometimes don't get much out, but you keep doing it. And what it does is it entices you. It brings you back in by maybe making the sound loud, or you get something, but you bet, say, 50 cents and you got 18 cents back. And so it makes noise and it lights up and it does all of these things and it brings you in. And you keep putting in more and more and more in, hoping to get back. And that's exactly what sometimes people will do. They will keep arguing and arguing and arguing, waiting for you to just put in that extra coin, put in that extra money, press that button. It's like they press the button and you're stuck going into the fight, and you're going into a fight that you're not going to win because you're going against somebody who, as far as they're concerned, they're right and you're wrong. So you're not going to win on that. Now, the other thing that I think is important for you to pay attention to, when you have somebody who totally disrespects you, you can try to change the subject, you can stop the conversation, you can hang up on them, but it's going to continue. If you have an opportunity where you can maybe find the right time in the right place and talk to her and say, look, we have a tendency when we get to talking, we do well for a while, and then things go south. You don't have to say, you start to, don't go there. Just say things go south. And then you can say, if we are going to talk, I need to set a boundary with you. And that is, if you start yelling at me, or if you start getting angry at me and saying things and demanding that I apologize when I don't think I've done anything wrong, then I want you to know that I am not going to continue the conversation. And see where that goes. But again, people like that, it's kind of a hard thing to get them to stop letting their past dictate their present. But it is a good thing to do if you're in a healthy relationship, is to find a good time and say, look, we need to talk about this, because when I bring this up, these are the things you say to me. And I get hurt, or I get angry, or I get frustrated, and I don't want to say things that are only going to cause more problems. In a healthy relationship, I tell you, use a code word. When you use the code word, that means stop. Stop right now, go into your separate spaces, so to speak, and ask yourself, is this about the past? Is this about my own insecurity? Is this about my own need to be right? Is this about my own need to feel like I'm a victim and I need you to understand where I'm coming from? That's a very important thing, because if you can work through things in your past, you don't bring them into the present. And that's what you're really having a problem with, is that she's not going to let go. The other is, you can tell the person you want a two-way relationship, not a one-sided, relationship. Relationship should be give and take so that you both have the same rights. And the most important thing is you need to let them know, even if she's not going to respect anything, you need to let them know that if you verbally, attack me, or if you say things that are hurtful, I am going to stop the conversation and I am going to hang up. If it's somebody that's living in the house with you, you can say, I'm going to go into the other room, and hopefully when we come back into the room again, we can talk things through. The other is, when possible, avoid toxic relationships. This doesn't sound like a very healthy one, because it sounds like somebody who wants to be the victim, in the sense of she's the martyr and you have to feel sorry for her. And because of that, you have to hear her out. You have to agree with her. You have to do that. And all that's going to do is you're going to fight every once in a while, to the point where you're not going to talk maybe for weeks or months or whatever it may be. But unfortunately, relationships like that don't end in a healthy way unless somebody gets the help to change that. So if it is a family member that you don't want to be around, then maybe spend less time with them. Still work on being assertive and setting boundaries. And use the broken record technique. Just be able to say, I told you I'm not going to discuss this. But if you give in, it's kind of like that Vegas principle. If you put more money into it, you're putting more energy into it, you're giving her an opportunity to pull out what she wants to pull out. The other is, just remind yourself that you deserve to think for yourself and have your own opinion. And you should be treated with respect. And not be mistreated. It's okay to stand up for yourself, but when you're with somebody who doesn't allow that, it makes it very, very hard. Okay, I'd like to end with one of my affirmational quotes. It says, when I'm hurt by someone and someone else's actions, I will remind myself that people's reactions are about them, not me. Although I cannot change them or what they did, I can choose not to let their behavior affect me. I want to thank you for listening today. Please share these podcasts and the shorts with your social media, with friends, and stay away from the drama. It's just not real healthy.